Red blue boy walks my way, holding a girl's hand.
Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today's video is going to be a full face of new products first impression video. So I created this really vibrant makeup look. Almost all the products are new that I'm gonna be trying it for the first time. Also, if you want to know how I got this full face vibrant glam makeup look, then just keep on watching. To prime my eyelid today, I'm gonna be using the Tarte Shape Tape Concealer in the shade medium. Now to set the concealer, I'm going to use a thick foundation brush and I'm buffing the product into the skin. Now to set the concealer, I'm going to use the RCMA No Color Powder and taking another thick foundation brush, I'm going to buff the product into the skin. Now if your skin is super oily, you can wait for the powder to really set into your skin for a few seconds. But because my skin is super dry, I'm going to brush it off right away. Now for eyeshadows, I'm going to take the Morphe 35B palette and I'm going to start with this beautiful peacock blue shade and I'm going to start with my crease area. And dabbing a little bit more near the outer corner and going all the way towards the inner corners, dabbing it again. Now taking another thick fluffy eyeshadow brush, I'm just blending everything in circular and back and forth motion to diffuse the harsh line. Now to deepen up the outer corners of the eyelid a little bit more, I'm using the same thick fluffy blending brush and taking this navy blue shade, dabbing it in the outer corners and bringing it halfway to the center and blending it in back and forth motion. This will work as a nice transition shade. Now for the center of the eyelid, I'm taking a flat eyeshadow brush and taking this bright pink shade, dabbing it in the center and from the inner corners, going higher to create a fake eyelid. Now to cut that crease, I'm going to use a very thin flat brush and taking some concealers in the brush. I'm using the same Shape Tape concealer. And I'm just pulling the skin a little bit so that it helps me to get that perfect tight skin. To set the concealer, I'm using another fluffy blending brush and taking this white shadow, dabbing the product into the skin. Now taking this flat eyeshadow brush, I'm going to use this bright pink shade and fill in my eyelid. Again, to diffuse the harsh line, I'm taking the deep navy shade again and just diffusing the harsh line and blending it in back and forth motion. Now that we are done with all the colorful shades for the eyelid, I'm using NYX Vivid Brights liner in Vivid Sapphire and I'm going to do a wing and I'm going to cut that crease in half. For lashes, I'm using Lily Lashes in Sydney, but before that I'm going to use some mascara and I'm using the Rimmel London Scandalized Reloaded Mascara. For primer, I'm going to use the e.l.f. Tone Adjusting Face Primer. This is actually not new for me. I used this a while ago, 2 times maybe, but I wasn't quite happy how it worked, so I want to try it again today. My skin does feel really tacky, like I know the product is going to stick into my skin, but again it feels really silicone-y, which can slide your foundation, so we're going to see. For foundation, I have 2 new foundations that I haven't tried before, and it's the Milani 2-in-1 foundation plus concealer and the other one is LA Girl HD foundation. I have heard good things about both the foundations, but I'll have to go with Milani because I feel this one will be a little bit darker. Today I'll go with the Milani foundation. I'm also going to try the Morphe Highlight and Contour Sponge. Now because I like my sponge to be really damp to get a luminous coverage, I went ahead and damped the sponge with some water. Now when your beauty blender is damp, it doesn't soak a lot of your foundations, and it also helps to give you a luminous base. It gives really full coverage, and the foundation is making my skin look really luminous. Only thing that I didn't like is that it is making my skin look a little bit ashy. I don't know if it's because of the primer, but so far I am really liking the coverage and the luminous base. Now to cover my dark circles and highlight my face a little bit, I'm using the Tarte Shape Tape Concealer. Now this is not something new that I tried before, but I am in love with this concealer. Love the coverage, and it lasts for all day, it doesn't crease. It's my favorite. To contour my face, I'm going to use the Maybelline Master Conceal in the shade Medium D. I used the light shade before, but I haven't used this dark one, and I really like the coverage and it gives such a luminous base. And for this, I'm going to use a thin brush. Okay, so now this one is not that dark that I expected. It came out to be lighter than the Milani foundation, so I'm gonna have to use the LA Girl Pro Concealer, and it's in the shade Toast. Now before my concealer starts creasing, I'll have to blend. I think the foundation have done a really great job. And when it comes about foundation, I always prefer something that gives really full coverage and something that is not matte finish. As it says, it's 2-in-1 conceal and does the same job for concealer and foundation. I really think it does, because you really don't need any concealer for this one. If you're someone, a school student or someone in a budget, or someone don't like to put a lot of product in their face, you can try this foundation. So I did the same thing like I always do. Cut that cheekbone. Now to set my under eyes, I've got the RCMA No Color Powder as I use for my eyes. I have heard so many things about this. I almost got the things that I heard a lot on YouTube, and that I'm sure that this is going to work. Now when it comes about powder, I don't like to bake like a lot of powder under your eyes, but today I'm going to do that because I really want to see how this powder works, because I have noticed some of the setting powders, they makes my pores more visible, which is something I hate. And I'm going to let the under eye powder set for some time, but I'm going to brush all the powders apart from under eyes. To contour and highlight, I'm going to use the Tarte Pro Glow to Go palette. This one is not new. If you've seen my previous videos, I have used this before, and I absolutely love the highlighters. It's just amazing. And to contour my nose, I'm going to use the Morphe Y12 contour brush. Now, normally I take a small blending brush, if you've seen my previous videos, and I go draw a straight line and then blend, but I'm finding this one really easy because you can just draw a straight line and then blend. I used to struggle a lot before while contouring my nose. Like, I had to draw a long straight line, I contour my nose, and then later I realized my nose contour is not straight, and I think it's doing a great job. I think I can contour my nose perfectly now. I'm just going to place the brush and slide on my nose. Now for the lower lash line, I'm going to use the same bright pink shade again, and taking the same flat eyeshadow brush, I'm just going to apply it near my waterline. I am loving the Morphe palette. I remember I wanted this palette for the longest time, and sometimes they will be out of stock, sometimes I won't have the money to buy it. Finally, I got one, and I just cannot tell you guys how excited I am. For blushers, I'm going to use the NYX Baked Blush. Wet the blusher a little bit with some setting spray. To highlight, I'm using the same Tarte Pro Go To Go palette and a Real Techniques thick blending brush. I'm going to use the shade Burst and mix a little bit of green. I'm going to apply it on the apples on my cheek. For lips, I'm going to use the NYX Liquid Suede in the shade LSCL07 and NYX Turned Up Lipstick in the shade number 21. To set my face, I'm going to use Maybelline Master Fix Setting Spray. This will have the powder to melt into my skin. The spray has like an alcoholic smell, which is I don't like. So that was my full face of new products first impression video. Now let's come to the conclusion. Starting from the foundation, I really love the coverage, how luminous my skin was looking. The powder, I love it so much because there was a time I had to struggle a lot finding the right shade setting powder, and I always used to struggle. I've tried many drugstore setting powders that does make my pores look more visible. Right now I have powder all over my table just because it's not ideal to take it in your beauty blender, so you can spread it all over. The issue I have is the container. Apart from that, I love the powder. Liner is cracking up a little bit because it's getting dry. I love the sponge, blends so well. Love the Morphe palette. The Morphe palette is just amazing. I love all the shades. They are all so pigmented and blends really well. No idea how many different eye makeup looks I'm gonna create with this palette, but I just love it. I'm so happy that I got this palette. The primer I didn't like at all. It made my skin look a bit dull. I don't know if it's because of the shade of the foundation or it's because of the primer that made my skin look a little bit ashy. I don't know if you can tell it on camera, but in person I can tell. Maybe I will have to try the foundation with different primers or a different foundation brush, then I can really tell the difference of what is that's making my makeup look really ashy. I also want to try the LA Girl foundation, but maybe I'll have to get a different shade. The Maybelline concealer didn't work for me because it turned out to be lighter than my foundation shade. The setting spray, I didn't like it because it has like an alcoholic smell, but being a drugstore product, I think it's average. The powder turns your makeup more matte finish. Like, I don't have any problem with matte finish makeup, but after some time my makeup will start cracking up because I know my skin is super dry. I always prefer luminous, dewy looking skin. Apart from that, I really love how my makeup turned out. I really hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Till then, take care. Bye.